You are listening to Slightly Sauced.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 210 of Slightly Sauced. Holy fuck, 210. We got Blast from the Past today. Wait, no, that's a fucking stupid intro. Wait. No, that's stupid.
Too bad.
Just keep it rolling.
We've already
All right,
started.
we're going. I've committed. My name's
straight
John.
to tape.
My name's John.
I'm Dave.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Dave.
I'm Derek.
I'm Kayla.
Dave's got an echo.
Dave is Dave. Hey, Dave's here. Hi, Dave.
I'm Dave. I'm Dave. I'm Dave.
Holy shit, Dave, you've been on the show in like, what?
3 years?
Four
or so?
years? 3
Yeah.
years? Well, I mean, we didn't do the show for 2 years, so that adds to
Yeah.
that time a little
Yeah.
bit. But Dave, if you remember, like if you've been listening forever, you might remember that Dave used to be a regular on the show, and then he fucked off and moved to Amsterdam. And he just decided that he didn't like any of us anymore, and he was like, "No, I'm out. I'm not doing this shit anymore. Fuck you guys." And that now he's then he moved again. Where are you now, Dave?
London.
Jolly old London, England.
Jolly old London, England.
London.
You sound like you're from London.
Yeah, and I guess it was a couple episodes ago now. You guys talked about your trip to London and
And
all
we
of
didn't
your
talk about you
experiences
at
here.
all.
You mentioned me briefly. You said Dave happens to live there, and so we met up, had some tacos,
Those were
or
good
a
tacos.
Sunday roast. Well, yeah, it was the Sunday roast. Also,
How rainy
delicious.
is the weather today?
It's beautiful day out today, and it's actually been
So, like 12
really,
degrees?
really hot. No, it's 29 degrees today.
Oh shit, that actually does
Wow.
sound kind of nice.
It is like absolutely boiling
only
hot in
24
my
here.
apartment.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like rainy here. It sucks.
It's way too hot here though. I'm on the 5th floor and no like wind coming through my apartment. It's just I didn't even have to turn the heat on all winter because it gets so hot in here.
Yeah, that was my experience living in a taller building as well. When Steph and I were on the 16th floor, we would open our windows in the middle of winter because it would get so
Yeah.
warm from all the apartments below us.
Exactly. Yeah. But for some reason I'm in a direction that none of the wind actually comes into my apartment for some reason, so it's just hot all the time.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
How's London
Well,
other than your hot apartment?
London is great. There's lots of stuff going on. I'm really enjoying the job that I'm doing here, and yeah, it's a fantastic city.
Okay, so
It's,
what's your favorite
much
thing about
different.
London, and what's your least favorite thing about London?
My favorite thing about London is that there's always something going on. So like we can just explore a different part and there's always some sort of like street market with really cool food or like some sort of event going on. My least favorite thing about London,
All the British people.
It can get really busy on the tube sometimes. But luckily I don't have to take the tube very often, so it's not that big of a deal. I only take it on the weekends generally because I can walk to work. So
Those tube touchers were annoying. That's for sure.
it just gets so busy, and especially in the summer, it's so hot because like the heat from the tube like generates heat on itself, and it's just getting like warmer and warmer and warmer down there.
Ugh, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah. They're trying to actually come up with a plan to take the heat that the tube generates and use it to power the tube so that they can eliminate some of the heat. But I'm not sure how that plan's coming on.
Cool. Well, before we get started with articles, Tyler, what's our brand new segment for this week?
Yeah, so the new segment for this week is How Is This a Thing?
Okay.
And I already kind of shared this out this morning, but I came across this trailer for a new TV show this morning. They're turning the mobile app game Candy Crush into a live television show.
Like the Match 3 game?
How is
Yeah.
that a thing?
It's going to be like a game show hosted by Mario Lopez. I mean,
Mario Lopez is still alive?
they scale like a giant LCD screen and they literally just play the app live.
Yeah, how is that
What?
a thing? That sounds fucking stupid. Who greenlit that?
Someone from CBS.
Jesus Christ, they must be really dying for content.
I I thought it was a joke. Like I thought, you know how people put together like those fake trailers all the time. I thought it was someone just messing around, like something that the Onion would release or whatever. But no, it's a real thing.
So they're not doing something like when they made a movie out of Battleship. They didn't make a movie of the literal game. They used it. They just made a movie like with battleships in it and called it Battleship. But you're talking about like this show is at least in part the literal game Candy Crush.
Yeah, it's a game show. It has live contestants, and as part of it, they're strapped into like rock climbing harnesses, sort of, and they go up and down. They scale up and down this gigantic display, and they have to do whatever you do in Candy Crush.
Well, I think that's worth asking. How is this a thing? Good find. I got one. I want to know how rompers are a thing. This is the stupidest fucking piece of clothing I have ever seen in my life, and there are so many women wearing them right now. They're ridiculous. I don't know if people aren't aware of what a romper is, and guys, you might have to help me describe it. Basically, it's like a onesie. It's got like a short sleeve and shorts, but they're all attached together into one piece. Sometimes there's a belt clasping in the middle, and it fits tight around the crotch area like a like a bathing suit or something. But it's like really baggy shorts, like gym shorts, around the ass cheeks. It looks fucking ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing. And moreover, female friends of mine have expressed concerns over how, if one were wearing such a device, they might have to, like, when they have to go pee. It doesn't make any sense. You'd have to get totally naked in, like, a public stall just to take a piss. So it's, like, totally stupid looking and really fucking impractical. How the hell is a romper
on the other hand,
a thing?
I just Googled it, and I came across one that is a Kim Jong-un romper.
No way.
So I'm going to link that to you guys here. But
Okay, that's amazing.
so I guess if you're going to have a ridiculous piece of clothing, you might as well put something ridiculous on it.
Yeah, I guess.
That's kind of the
I don't know. I think that the cut and the fit of these things, I mean, unless you're like a model type, it just looks stupid as fuck. I think it's a dumb piece of clothing.
Even then, it's pretty dumb.
Yep. Fair enough. So how is this a thing?
I would like to know. So it's becoming more popular that I'm seeing ads on things like Facebook and Instagram and these autoplay videos of things that are happening. And there's one video that keeps popping up in my feed of people using a charcoal toothpaste, and it turns their mouths entirely black and is meant to whiten your teeth and make them beautiful.
No
but
way.
in the meantime, you've got like this black staining all over your teeth in order to.
Does it taste like
brighten
charcoal?
them.
Like charcoal tastes horrible.
I have no idea. But a couple weeks ago, it was a charcoal face mask. So like a pure black face mask that like peels off all the impurities of your skin. And it looks really disgusting, and I would love to know from someone who's used it and isn't a shill for the company whether or not it's worth it.
I don't think Steph has one of those, but she does have this suspiciously colored face wash in our shower. It's like a gray goop. Like it looks like some kind of like grease maybe that you would put in your engine. And it's like granular, like it's got like sandpaper particles in it. I don't know. She swears by it, but it looks fucking gross. I don't think you should put anything that's like in the brown to black gray sort of shade of colors on your body, like as a thing. That's not the right color for things that go on your body.
And like, is the whitening of the teeth just relative to the fact that it made them completely black?
That's the contrast. They're only whiter in contrast.
Yep.
Wow, that is
Charcoal
a hell of a romper.
toothpaste. That's fucking gross.
That, speaking of whitening toothpaste, Kim Jong-un has very straight teeth.
Well, I mean,
And
you would too.
They
if
could
you
stand to
were,
be a
like,
little bit
The
whitened.
supreme ruler or whatever.
Yeah.
But it
And
makes
when
it
he
look like he's
golfs,
got a
like-
butt chin, the way that the romper fits along the thighs. It's kind of hilarious.
When he plays golf, he does get a hole in one every hole that he
Every
plays,
single time.
so,
Yeah.
He's a
every time.
remarkable golf player.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm sure Putin is probably similar, fighting bears and whatever else he's doing.
Anybody else got a thing? Guess not. All right, cool.
No other things.
Dave, you're the guest of honor tonight. Do you want to start? What do you got for us tonight?
So I was asked to just give a brief a synopsis of kind of the political landscape in the UK right now. So, as everyone knows, about a year ago or so, the UK people in their brightest hour decided to vote to leave the European Union, which has been a pretty controversial decision. And so they've been going through that for the past year. Everyone, well, like certain people have been mad, certain people have been really happy. And there was, the government triggered the Brexit to leave the European Union back in March. And it was pretty much understood that they were going to not have another election until 2020, but then the leader of the Conservative Party in the UK said, no, actually, we want to have another election to get more support so that we have a stronger seat at the bargaining table
Now,
and more
in general,
backing.
How does the election cycle work in the UK? Like in Canada, there's an election every 5 years, I think.
Yeah, it's the same.
Same idea.
Yeah, so
But
there was,
the ruling
yeah,
party can choose to trigger it at any time if they've got
at any time.
Is
yeah.
that a confidence vote? Do they have to have a majority in order to trigger it, or can they just trigger it regardless?
I believe there has to be a vote, but of course, all the other political parties were like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Oh, of
let's
course,
do
right?
it.
Because they think that they can get right.
Yeah.
So, what is the party's name right now? I know it's led by Elizabeth May, but Elizabeth May? Fuck's sakes,
Theresa May.
Theresa
yeah.
May. Excuse me.
Yeah. So
What's the name of the party?
Conservative Party.
Conservative Party.
The Conservative Party.
And they had a slim majority, right, before this election.
They had something like 15 or 16 seats majority. So it was a slim majority, but it was a majority. And, they were having some difficulties passing certain things, but they did have a majority. And now they don't. So what ended up happening is they came probably about, I believe it was like 10 to 12 seats short of a majority, being able to form a government without any support from anyone else, without forming a minority government. So what they did was they got support from, they created a deal with the DUP, which is a party in Northern Ireland, and asked that, said, we'll give you like certain amount of funding. I believe it was like $1 billion in promised funding to Northern Ireland, and in exchange they would support the Conservative government and allow them to form their government without losing a no confidence vote. But now actually certain people are saying that this agreement breaches the Good Friday Agreement, which is some agreement in between London and Northern Ireland, and between a bunch of the different political parties. And so there was this crowdfunding campaign started. So some guy has been threatening legal action against the government for the past few weeks, and now he's saying he has to start proceedings. So he's been crowdfunding, and actually it was in The Guardian today, and it's already raised something like £20,000. So it seems
he's crowdfunding money to take the government to court, because he claims that they violated the Good Friday Agreement, presumably because the Conservatives have made a deal with a political party that is primarily based in Northern Ireland. Is that the understanding?
Yeah, and they did that by bribing them into supporting them.
Well,
is basically what they're saying.
Okay, fine, but isn't all of politics and most political dealing a bribe if you consider it that way? I don't know. It seems like a pretty...
But there's other things in the Good Friday Agreement, they can't... it's something... And Dave, you probably know more about this, so you correct me as I'm going here, but it was something along the lines of Britain can't favor one side over the other, or can't influence or peddle their influence to one side over the other. Yeah. And because the DUP is now essentially the bargain maker for the government staying in power, right? That's kind of broken the whole dynamic.
Yeah. No, I understand that, but all I'm saying is that in general in government, and in particular in minority government situations, I mean, this is how the government functions, right? arguably there could be some other case where the conservative government hadn't explicitly made a deal with the DUP, but because of the way that the seats fell after a normal election, the DUP held the swing vote, the power, in order to make one way or the other. And then you could argue that the same thing has happened. Like, I guess I'm just struggling to see how this is a violation of that agreement, because this is just how parliamentary democracies work.
I think it's a little bit more. I don't know like all the details of the Good Friday Agreement, but I believe it is like there are some intricacies with like bribing parties specifically in Northern Ireland.
And then
and yeah, I mean, so her line like throughout the campaigns and everything and has always been to people when she says, "Oh, we're going to cut this and we're going to cut that." She says, "Oh, there is no magic money tree." There was like this nurse from the NHS that was saying like, you know, I've been a nurse and for the past 8 years, I haven't had a single like 1 penny rise in my salary in 8 years. And she just replied back to her on camera, "Well, there is no magic money tree, so too bad." And then she comes and goes, "Oh yeah, 1 billion in funding for like to help us prop up our government, no problem."
And the DUP has recently been in trouble as well, right? They got into the renewable heating incentive scandal or whatever in the last few years. Didn't they set up some program and then subsequently take advantage of it and cost taxpayers like $400 million or something?
I'm not
they
sure.
They essentially paid people to burn fuel. It's just basically a way of getting taxpayer dollars for doing nothing.
Right. So, you know, they maybe aren't even in the best standing either. Wow. Okay. So this shit's complicated. So effectively then what's happened is the majority government or the previous majority government in Britain, the Conservatives, led by Theresa May, wanted to solidify their power pre-talks for Brexit because like the UK has to negotiate now with the remainder of the European Union about what, you know, well, everything, I guess, what all of the deals will be once they leave the European Union. And to do that, she wanted more of a mandate, even though she had a majority already. She wanted a bigger majority, I guess, but she got greedy and then lost at the election and now is in a minority position and has propped herself up with this party from Northern Ireland, which may or may not violate the Good Friday Agreement. Holy fuck, what a mess.
And even with their support, she still has less power than she did before.
So she's really screwed up. Now, how come she hasn't stepped down? Usually when politicians utterly embarrass themselves like that, they step down.
That's a very good question. Yeah, that's a very good question.
I'm not saying she should necessarily. I'm just saying that's typically what happens. Like when you totally botch an election, generally speaking, you step down from party leadership.
Well, she hasn't had to step down because they're still in power.
Right.
She lost in the election. She lost the election in the sense that they lost seats, but she still leads the country.
But even some of her like top people in the party like won by 100 votes. It was very, very close in a lot of things. So like she's even kept some of these cabinet members who like barely got their seats.
And has there been any polling or other investigations into why their support shallowed so much? I mean, presumably the people who had just previously voted for them enough to get a slim majority showed up to the polls again. Did they change? Like what happened to swing the vote so hard between these two elections that were fairly close together?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people were just really fed up, and they've been really fed up that all of a sudden, Brexit was one thing, but then like such a hard Brexit, and they've like it's everything or nothing. Like if there's no deal, like too bad, whatever. Like there's been no flexibility. They're not showing any. They haven't even put forward a solid plan about what they're going to do. And there's just been a loss of confidence in that regard, I think.
And I think that's the most important part because just obviously I don't live there, but reading about it from over here, it seems like the real complaints against her have been how she's been handling things on a variety of issues, from the terrorism response for when the guy was running into people on the bridge. And I think so. There's a couple things on her plate, but I also think that the opposition party led by Jeremy Corbyn, he actually came out a lot more electable than people were giving him credit for, which I think surprised even his own party. So
Yeah, it surprised me as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so at this point, like there is still a debate over how hard the Brexit is going to be, which for people who are not familiar with this is basically like the referendum said, yes, the UK is going to leave the European Union, but the question, I guess, now is to what extent? Like how far are they going to go in changing the trade deals? And there seems to be a lot of debate over how far the government should go, but I kind of struggle to see in some part how that is the purview of the British government, right? I mean, like when they go into negotiations with the remainder of the European Union, they don't really hold the cards. Like it seems to me like the European Union, if they want to throw the book at them and really make their lives hard, they are absolutely in a position to do so because Britain doesn't bring a whole lot to the negotiating table.
And they have every intention of doing so because they don't want more of these countries to follow suit and basically cause a collapse in the European Union.
Right.
Because,
So then,
I mean,
isn't
there-
the entire debate over hard or soft Brexit might actually be meaningless because the government of the UK may not actually have any control over that?
Yeah, well, no. So, like, of course, the EU wants to still have open borders, still have open labor, and basically just that would kind of be the other thing is like certain things would stay in force and then other things like, contributions that the EU makes to the UK and vice versa wouldn't be in effect.
Right.
But, it would be similar to how Norway is, where they're in the economic area. So you can still go and work there. They can come and work here, and you have free trade. But they still have their own currencies. They can control their borders if they'd like, and so forth. And they don't have the same sort of commitments to the EU that other people do.
Right, but how did they score such a good deal? Were they bringing something to the table? They've got all that sweet oil money, right?
Well, I don't know all the ins and outs with Norway, but I imagine they bargained that from the beginning.
I mean, and the UK isn't exactly without any bargaining chip here, right? Like they're
a large
currently
economic power, sure.
And they're also currently the largest stock exchange in Western Europe, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but they also owe the EU a lot of money. So, and that's another thing where the UK is like, we're not paying anything. And the EU's like, no, you're going to pay us this 100 billion or whatever the divorce bill is. And yeah, they're very sure that they're not going to pay anything at all.
And there might be things that the EU wants from this too, right? They might, I mean, obviously Brexit was triggered in part over not wanting to have open borders anymore, but that's kind of a core component of the European Union's ideal. So they may not want the hard Brexit. The EU, may not want to enforce a hard Brexit on the UK if it was up to them, simply because they want to still maintain that freedom of movement.
That's the thing that really gets me about this whole process is it seems to me as though Brexit was sold to the people of the UK in a very dishonest way. Like the people who were pitching it either didn't seem to understand or weren't clear with the electorate over what the change might be to the UK. Like they seem
exactly.
to, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like it was done responsibly. And I don't think I can take a side on this because I don't know that I know the issues well enough to understand whether or not it would be beneficial to the UK to do their own thing or to stay within the European Union. But it doesn't feel like the leadership that sold that to the electorate told the entire story. And it doesn't feel like the electorate that voted either in favor or against in the referendum understood the entire story of the details of how this would work.
That's probably why there were some differences in the election as well, because there were a number of people that were not actually sure what was going on. And they may have voted a certain way and didn't understand that the government had a plan to make it such a hard Brexit. So they were upset about that.
So how does this impact you? I mean, you're a Canadian living and working abroad. Is this something that's potentially going to cause you grief?
Working in the tech sector, I wouldn't think so. I know a number of the banking sectors are moving a lot of their jobs to Ireland or Frankfurt, but I mean, there's always going to be a tech sector.
And it's not going to impact whatever visa that you rely on in order to be able to work there?
No. Yeah. So yeah, that's not any concern. The only concern would be the drop in the pound, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
with traveling different places.
Well, if the pound drops, maybe I'll actually come visit you again. As it stands, it's going to be a few years before I can afford to come back to the UK. That shit's expensive.
Yeah, what is it today? It's 166, so it hasn't really changed all that much since the last time we were there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it started at 180 when we were there and got down into the high 170s, but Jesus.
That was more so just because of the Canadian dollar was dropping while we were there.
Stupid Canadian peso.
Still better than the first time I went to London, and it was 2 something.
Yeah, like when I went in 2003, it was like 220. So it's much better now, at least.
So, like, if and when you ever come back to Canada, you will temporarily be a rich guy for trading in all those pounds for our shitty dollar.
If it stays at this, yes.
So beers on Dave next time he visits.
Beers on Dave.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for the update. That's interesting. I don't know what to think about it, but it's interesting to hear about it. That's for sure.
So actually, beyond the political climate, like, is there? Because that's really all we hear about the UK generally.
True.
So is there anything else going on? I know it's a very broad statement. Obviously, there's stuff going on, but like, is there anything of note?
They had a building burned down.
Well, yeah, that's kind of all mixed up in politics at the moment, though.
Yeah, that's also in the political climate. And like, I imagine that if there was another election, that she would have even less support because people were very upset about her response to that as well. So yeah, that's another thing that has hit worldwide news. It seems like the UK has been in worldwide news a lot lately. So other than that,
For all the wrong reasons.
yeah, for all the wrong reasons. Other than that, I don't know. Nothing particularly exciting going on.
You have
So I
a
got-
queen. What's she up to?
I think she's probably on holidays.
Oh, yes, the summer queen holidays.
Yeah, the summer break to wherever she goes. That means that I can visit Buckingham Palace at some point. I think they open it for tours in some point in the summer.
Nice. That would be awesome to go see.
Yeah.
I did have a question, actually. So as someone who's worked in both Canada, Amsterdam, and the UK now, like, is there noticeable differences between working in each?
Yes. In Europe and the UK, you get way more holidays. I have 6 weeks of holidays.
6
so
weeks.
Yeah. So
Holy
that's,
shit.
that's a nice thing to have. Yeah. And then even when you have 6 weeks, you go, oh, there's not enough holidays. So yeah, that's one of the notable things. I mean, I would say definitely employment laws. I mean, the UK and Europe definitely have higher minimum wages and stronger employment laws. It can work both ways though, because then you end up that like in the Netherlands, for example, no one will give you, even in like high tech jobs, more than a 1-year contract at once, because like at least to start, because if you give someone a permanent contract, then it's basically impossible to fire them. So that's definitely a big difference compared to North America. In the UK, I imagine in that regard, it's probably similar to Canada, similar laws, etc. But I mean, in Amsterdam, I was working in a very, like the office was all different nationalities. So I wouldn't say it was a Dutch office by any means. I think maybe like 5 Dutch people worked there. So it's, yeah, like it was mostly people coming from other places. And in like, yeah, in my current office, there's people from all over as well. So although there are lots of British people too. But yeah, they're very different in some regards, similar in other regards. So yeah, the holidays is the big thing.
I'm kind of jealous.
Kind of jealous, man. At this point, like, I mean, I like money, but I think I like holidays more. My bills are paid. More holidays would be great.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I really wish Canada would have more holidays, or at least the option to do so, because I mean, you only need so much money to live, and then you just want to actually enjoy your life as well. So
Well, what is it now? Coming January 1st, there's a bunch of employment changes, right? One of those, I believe, is that the minimum number of holidays a company has to give is 3 weeks. I think in Ontario, anyway.
Yep. Ontario
Yeah.
employment laws.
It's actually that high.
Yep.
Right now, it's 2 weeks. But
yeah,
I don't know who that all applies to. Obviously, it applies to people who are salaried. I'm not sure though that applies to like part-time workers or
that would
contract
be
workers.
that would definitely be tied to vacation pay.
That's kind of what
So-
I figured, right?
so
So, if
that
you
mean-
work
so that
part-time
means
for
that you
hourly,
would-
you're not going to get it.
No, you
They
would
do.
get 6%.
Oh, you get the vacation pay, right? Okay.
You would
Yeah,
get 6%, and then they have to give you that time off when you want to take it
Right.
by law.
if
so
you don't
once you
take
bank
it-
that up, yeah.
Right. I see.
It was similar, like in the Netherlands, they actually gave, because the minimum is 4 weeks that they can give you by law, so they would give you 8% vacation pay, and even salaried employees would get that at the end of I believe it's in July. It's everyone in the country that's working gets like their 8% payment. It's called the 13th month because you get paid twice in June. So that's pretty cool. But that's similar to in Canada where like at the end of the year or before your holidays, you would get that pay if you're not a salaried employee.
It's a whole different world.
Yep.
Fucking communists over there with your social safety nets and workers' rights.
Actually
Glorious
caring
vacation
about human
packages.
beings.
Yeah.
Socialist
I don't know.
paradise.
All right. Well,
Enjoy your bread lines. That's it about London, guys. We're ending the show now. So, Ernie, stop listening.
yeah. Stop
But
right
send
now.
us email and stuff.
No,
Contact at
not forever. This is
slightlysoft.com.
the show.
What a mess. All right. Well, look, I hope that you enjoyed our catch up with Dave and discussion of the happenings in London. If you live in the UK and you disagree with Dave, send us an email and tell us why he's wrong. Or if you want to give us an update on another part of the world, that would be cool too. Send us an email. Contact us at slightlysoft.com. Thanks for listening.
We did have some guy at one point that was listening. from
There was
the UK.
Liam from Australia at some point, and I don't know
That's
if he still
different.
listens, but he was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had Chris from the U.S. too, but I think a
Oh,
lot of
right,
people
yeah.
fell off when we didn't make shows for 2 years, and rightly so.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
It's okay. Now we have Dave to advertise for us over there.
That's right. He's putting up posters and shit, flyers all over downtown London. All right, well, thanks for listening. If you want to find more from us, check out slightlysoft.com, search us on iTunes, YouTube. We're all over the place. Goodbye.
Cheers.